it's just so special for our club, mate, our club.
Lastly, after 57 years of pain, it's coming home.
Hey there, TJ here, and welcome to Yeah The Dees, where I'm going through this round 16 game against GWS at Alice Springs on the 2nd of July 2023. Oh, so disappointing. This is just a repeat of the last few weeks, really. It's just same shit, different day. Not getting improved and not getting changed. I don't know what has to happen for the coaching staff to go and change what the hell they do moving forward and going into the forward line, but surely enough is enough. The last 5 weeks has been a definite trend. We kicked 10-12 against Freo and lost that match. We kicked 8-13 against the Blues, but happened to win that one. We kicked 8-18 against the Pies and was lucky enough to win that one. 8-15 against the Cats and kicked ourselves out of that game, and now 5-15 and kicking ourselves out of this one. I had to go back and look at to see when was the last time that we kicked such little amount of goals. And you got to go back to the 2020 season to find that in our game at Kazali Stadium against Fremantle, where we managed to only put 4 goals, 9 on the board. And yeah, that's the last time we got anywhere near 4 or 5 goals in a game. Before that, we had a game in 2019 that was pretty poor. Our goal kicking and kicking at goal has definitely been absolutely appalling. But we'll get a bit more into that. Well, I talk about the game. Let's just check out the lineups. So this is the first game with Ben Brown back in a very, very long time. He straightens us up a lot and just helps sort of organise that forward line a little bit. But yeah, the weather just didn't really help. We saw Charlie Spargo, Jacob Van Rooyen, James Jordan and Michael Hibberd all come out. Michael Hibberd's going to be out for a couple of weeks with a lacerated kidney or liver, one of those organs. Jake Melksham had a lot of opportunity coming in early, with Bailey Fritsch being subbed out, unfortunately, with a fractured foot. He's going to miss until finals, and that makes me very, very sad. But you can just sort of see, like, looking at this lineup, back line solid as hell. Midfield, pretty happy with, despite there being no Clayton Oliver. Jack Viney's having probably the best season he's had. And then that forward line is just a bit of a mess at the moment. There's some good players in there. It just doesn't have any cohesion. Like, Joel Smith has played 5 games up as a forward, and he just went missing for so much of the game. Cozzy's trying to get around it, but just not really impacting. And yeah, that's just where we're failing. We're just failing in our forward line, and we really just need to get that fixed. Anyway, let's just get into the game. Started off really dominating this quarter. Like, the game was just played in our front half that whole time, but absolutely not able to capitalise. You know, three points straight up, and then went straight down the other end, and they were able to capitalise and kick a goal. We got that back once Jake Melksham was subbed on, and I looked at my brother and I was like, this could be a day that the milkshake just, you know, gets on and makes it difficult for us to drop him. But unfortunately, that wasn't the case. He had a couple of chances later on after this, but couldn't really capitalise too much. Kicked another 2 points before the end of the first quarter. 6 scoring shots to 1, and we only end up 5 points up, and it's just so disappointing. And then GWS were able to capitalise, getting the first goal through Toby Green. Christian Petrarca, 3 behinds at this stage already. I love Christian. Like, he's one of the best players I've ever watched in the red and blue. He's fantastic. You can never doubt his effort. You can never doubt how hard he trains, the effort he puts in, his dedication to the club, or anything like that. What I have noticed is there's been a lot of calls this week for him to go forward and play as a forward, and I'm just wondering why. Like, it just does. It just, these media people must watch Melbourne so casually that they've got no idea that he's the number 1 score involvement player and the number 1 goal assist player in the AFL. So what's happened in the last couple of weeks since Clayton Oliver's gone out of the side, Christian's stopped hitting up those targets inside 50, and he started trying to take it all on himself, and he's been taking shots on goal. So he's changing the way that he's playing and changing the way that he's tried to connect to the forward line by skipping them all together. Our second best player for hitting up forwards is Charlie Spargo. And he's been out since he was concussed a couple of weeks ago. And he's just been off it since. So Our number one player, Christian Petrarca, is now not kicking for goal assists. He's kicking for goals and missing. And our second best player has been in and out of the side since he got a concussion. And I think that's what's really affecting our kicking inside 50. Now, the other thing on top of that is that there's not a lot of forward craft going on in that forward line. Multiple times a game, whenever I go and see it live, I'm screaming at the players to move. They just stand there and they go like this to get the ball kicked on their heads, and then they wonder why they can't take a clean mark. Like, they set themselves up to fail so often, and it's so frustrating. But yeah, taking away the number one guy from our score assists is not the answer to our forward problems. He needs to be kicking the ball to forwards again. And if Charlie Spargo's not in the side doing that and he's our second best, we need to have somebody else come up and do that as well. So it's decision making that's the problem. It's skill execution that's the problem. And these things can definitely be fixed. I think a Ben Brown will help straighten that up. Hopefully some dry conditions also help straighten that up. And we can move forward in the right way. Another thing that the media was bringing up during the week is that Gordon Grundy isn't working. And I just saw Brodie Grundy get put into the champion Darters All-Australian team so far this year. And I thought Tim English was having a pretty damn good season. So for Brodie to be rated above him is pretty damn good. Jake Bowie kicked a goal here as well. That was a beautiful goal from him. But unfortunately, GWS just got on a little bit of a run. We weren't able to capitalise with all of our domination in this first half. The first half was ridiculous, and ending up even at 3-3 and 2-9 is also ridiculous. That's 11 scoring shots to 6 for the same amount of score. And it's just poor. You just leave the door open for another club. And and we got punished for it. It just fucking sucks. But yeah, 4 goals in a row is absolutely unacceptable across these 2 quarters. Letting them get the first 3 is so frustrating. We managed to peg these 2 back pretty quickly through Brodie Grundy and Cozzy. Cozzy 1 goal 2 at that stage of the game. We just need more from him. We need more, and he just hasn't been on since he got suspended. But we need him to be that little master and get those balls and start snapping it. One of the first contests of the game, he was front and centre for the crumb, and it was perfect, and then I didn't see it for the rest of the game. But yeah, we went into the last quarter 4 points down. Obviously still a very, very gettable game, but more and more wasted opportunities. Able to kick that goal to get in front through Ed Langdon, which was great, but not able to score another goal for the rest of the game after that is absolutely pathetic and just really not good enough. Kicking 1 goal 3 in that quarter is just throwing the game away. The previous quarter was 2 goals 3. Previous quarter was 1 goal 4. Previous quarter was 1 goal 5. Just wasted opportunities, not making the most of it. And that's the game. It cost us the game. So hopefully we get this fixed. Hopefully this is finally a wake-up call for the coaching staff to fix up what is going wrong there. I was happy to see Brodie Grundy take a few more inside 50 ruck contests. That pleased me, which was good. Hopefully that continues. I hope we see Jacob Van Rooyen come back into the side after kicking 4 goals on the weekend. But I'll get a bit more into that into my VFL report. Like, I'm sure all of us are frustrated with this. All of us are feeling like, what's going on here? Why are we wasting this talent? Why can't these guys put it together? And then we got to put up with fucking rubbish from the other footy media people thinking that Entrecott still has a issue 12 months later. Like, I'm telling you now, the players aren't talking about a fucking dinner fight like 12 months later. There's no way that has any effect on what we're doing. What has an effect on what we're doing is the forwards not knowing where to run and the players not kicking it to their advantage inside 50. You can't have 70-something inside 50s and kick a shit score like 5-15. It's pathetic. Just not good enough, and we need to be doing better. But I don't doubt the effort. I don't doubt the intent, and I don't doubt the way that the team goes about it when they're putting in on game day. It's just some decision-making is really poor, some skill execution is really poor, and the forward craft's really poor. If we fix up those 3 things, premiership's ours. Absolutely. I have full faith in this club in getting there at the end. And it's really interesting with Melbourne because they always talk about us flicking a switch, but they don't talk about any other clubs flicking a switch. Are we the only club where we get turned on and off? Like, I'm just asking, just putting it out there. Like, what other clubs talk about, oh yeah, they just flick the switch and then they put teams away? So yeah, I might just be a bit absent on that. But it's just interesting that that's like the talk around this club, and what we do is we're switch flickers apparently. But yeah, let's just get a quick scroll through the team stats. We dominated play, and that's all very obvious throughout these stats. As you look, it was 73 inside 50s, and having that much dominance and having that many more than GWS and losing is absolutely pathetic. Efficiency inside 50, 35.6%. We absolutely killed them in their forward line as well. And I really actually liked how disciplined we were in that first half. Free kicks are very, very heavily in Melbourne's favour, but that's because we just didn't give any away. Our tackling was way better. We weren't going high except for the one that Hunter gave away, but that was a bit iffy anyway. Only giving away one free kick in the first half, which was actually paid as advantage, was incredible. So the Giants we only gave away 9 more free kicks in the second half. The Harms 50, unfortunately, I think's there. He was in the protected zone. If he didn't try to smother that ball and turn around and put his arms up, the umpire probably would have let it go. But he was running out of the space and then turned around and contested the ball. So I think that free kick's fair enough. Or the 50-metre, I should say, is fair enough, unfortunately. And that's just the rule. We've got to adapt and we've got to be better. 1 in hit-outs, 1 in clearances. Absolutely smashed them in centre clearances. As a stoppage team, this is what we want to see. And they gave themselves the utmost advantage to try and give our forwards the advantage, but it would just stuff it up in disposal. And yeah, look, contested possessions and uncontested possessions are evidence of that. We had an extra 10% of match possession time. That is lots. Only had 5 marked inside 50 for 73 inside 50s, and that just shows you how poor our kicking was. 68 marks for the game, lower than our average, and that's just, that torrential weather was absolutely awful. Lower on the tackle count, but that's because we were possessing the ball so much in this case, and getting 17 tackles inside 50 was really good. But once again, no real reward for that other than ball ups and 50-50 contests. On to the coaches' votes, and top votes were shared by Jack Viney and Josh Kelly, followed by Nick Haynes, Lockie Hunter, Christian Petrarca, Tom Green, and Jake Bowie, which means the coaches would have seen it split up like this. And I'm sure Simon Goodwin would have voted for Jack Viney with the 5, and I'm sure Adam Kingsley would have voted Josh Kelly for the 5, so it would have broken up something like this, and then basically the bottom 2 just could have been swapped around in some sort of way. The way that I saw it was I gave Christian Petrarca the 1 vote. He tried his guts out in this game but didn't execute properly. 4 behinds, 34 disposals, so he had plenty of it. 17 kicks, 17 handballs, 685 metres gained. Jake Lever, I gave the 2 votes to. He had another 11 intercept possessions, was very clean with his disposal going at 84%, had 249 metres gained, and played the entire game. Gave 3 votes to Jake Bowie, who had the most intercepts for us today. He had 14. Kicked a goal, 19 disposals, fairly clean with it as well. I just felt like his impact was really, really important, and he had 4 score involvements. Trent Rivers, I gave the 4 votes to. Another huge game from him. He was a little bit looser with his disposal, but once again doing everything he can. 7 intercept possessions, 440 metres gained. Gave Lockie Hunter the 5 votes. 11 intercept possessions from him, 459 metres gained. He had 30 disposals for our game. He was a bit poor with his disposal efficiency, but was helped just getting the ball forward in desperate moments when we needed to. So I gave him the 5. And then best on ground goes to Jack Viney again. This is the 5th best on ground that I've given him for the season so far, which is pretty incredible. After 15 games to have been best on ground for 5 of them. And I don't know what else I can say about him. He's just an absolutely incredible player. 41 disposals, 8 intercept possessions, 26 pressure acts, 14 ground ball gets, 7 clearances, 5 score involvements. Jack Viney, absolute jet, one of my favourite players to watch. Which means that our leaderboard is still being led by Christian Petrarca, but Jack Viney has now popped into second spot with Clayton Oliver, still unfortunately out with the hamstring at the moment. The Casey Demons played GWS at Casey Fields a little bit earlier before we played, And they smashed them. They smashed them by 96 points in the end. 2014, 134 to 14, 38. And yeah, very enjoyable game to watch when we have both of our young forwards kicking 4 goals each. Van Rooyen with 4, Matthew Jefferson with 4, so they are both progressing very nicely. I'd be very surprised if Jacob Van Rooyen isn't back in the team to verse St Kilda. We just got on top of them early, kicking 3 goals very early on before even getting halfway through this quarter. GWS got one back sort of towards the end. We went into quarter time, 16 points up. Went on to put on another 5 goals too in that second quarter and holding the Giants to the same score they had in the first. They kicked 1-3, 9 in the first and the second quarters. We were able to keep them to 1-6 in the third quarter, and they kicked 1 goal, 2 in the last. Where in that second half, we were able to put on 12 goals, 5. And especially towards the end of this, it was just absolute dominant display. JVR with a couple of back-to-backs here. And yeah, just everyone just sort of getting involved. It was great. If you have a look at the player stats, James Jordan had 41, which is just fantastic. Luke Dunstan, 33. Tajwa Woden had 31 and kicked 3 goals. Yeah, the 2 boys, Jacob Van Rooyen and Matthew Jefferson there with 4 goals each. Jefferson only had the 8 disposals, all of them being kicks. Jacob Van Rooyen getting up the ground a bit more, had 16 disposals. So yeah, very, very happy with that. Happy with those boys. I can see, yeah, JVR coming back in. Tajwa Woden, yeah, looking surely a debut this year sometime. Got to have a look at him, especially with our small forwards being slightly poor. I know he's sort of a bit more of a winger and doing that sort of stuff. It's going to be hard to push out a Lockie Hunter and Ed Langdon for that spot. But yeah, I think he's very, very much due to come in. Blake Howard's very nice, sort of 28. Daniel Turner, 23 in the back line. Did well without Tomlinson down there. But yeah, just a very, very dominant display. So that leaves us, after playing 15 games, in the 4th position on 9-6. With a much superior percentage to our opponents this weekend, St Kilda, who sit in 5th, and the Bulldogs, who sit in 6th with 105.2. Adelaide, I think, yeah, they're looking pretty good. They should probably smash Essendon this weekend, so we should be a little bit worried about that. We need to get the win against St Kilda to make sure that we stay a game ahead of them and ahead of the Crows as well. It looks like it's pretty much the 3rd or 4th for us to try and lock in the end here. And we've got to make the right changes to make sure that we're at the best we can be to play St Kilda this weekend. And I think that's with JVR coming in for Joel Smith. It's going to be very interesting with Bailey Fritsch coming out. I think we just have JVR in that Fritsch role and have one of the ruckmen play a bit more out of the goal square as a tall target and have the forwards crumb around that. I also said a couple of weeks ago I could only see us losing 2 more games, but then we've lost 2 in the last 2 weeks. So, yeah, that makes things a bit tougher. Hopefully we can just go on a run and we just win every game for the rest of this season, so I'm right. I do see the Swans up in Sydney in the last round being quite difficult. I think Brisbane at the MCG will be a difficult game as well, but, oh man, I'm looking forward to it. Can't wait to play them. That should be a fun game to go and watch. We do have a good, decent run here coming up. A lot of games being played in Melbourne. So we've gotten through the harder part of our fixture, I think, and sitting 9-6. And whilst we would have liked to have not lost probably 2 or 3 of those games in the last couple of weeks, it just is what it is, and that's where we're at. So hopefully we can fix up these little things and storm through to finals with a healthy list and get some players back, you know, get Fritsch back by then once his foot's healed and, yeah, attack finals quite well. So thank you very much for watching Yeah The Dees. Leave your thoughts on the game in the comments below and I'll see you next week.
Petrarca! Oh, wow! How good is that? Sparrow to make it a 3-goal, 3-pointer dive. He's got it! Surely not another one. Handball to Oliver. Streaming through. Bang! Bang, bang, bang! Melbourne are the premiers for 2021!
And it's just so special for our club, mate, our club.
Lastly, after 57 years of pain, it's coming home.